Despite facing racism and segregation in the United States Army during World War I, the 369th Infantry Regiment, known as the Harlem Hellfighters, proved their courage and skill while fighting under French command. Their bravery on the battlefield challenged racist beliefs about African American soldiers, sparked calls for reform and greater equality at home. Although their return home in 1919 was met with resistance and continued discrimination, their service exposed the contradictions between American ideals and reality and helped inspire new demands for civil rights and equality. The 1900s, an era of rhythm and change. As jazz music spilled from crowded Harlem clubs onto bustling streets, a vibrant cultural movement was emerging. Harlem became a center of creativity, pride, and identity to African Americans. While Harlem pulsed with music and hope, another reality remained. African Americans were still denied equal rights and opportunities across the United States. Soon, a global conflict would test these inequalities in a new way. Across the Atlantic, World War I was raging. After years of brutal fighting, the French army desperately needed reinforcements. Meanwhile, the United States Army remained segregated and reluctant to place black soldiers in combat roles. Rather than allowing them to fight alongside white American troops, U.S. commanders assigned the 369th Infantry Regiment to serve under French command. What began as an act of discrimination soon became an opportunity to prove their courage. Serving under French command, the Harlem Hellfighters quickly earned a fearsome reputation for bravery and determination, spending 191 days in frontline combat, longer than any other American unit in World War I. Despite their determination, the Harlem Hellfighters faced constant discrimination. The U.S. Army often refused to properly supply them. Heavily undersupplied, the Harlem Hellfighters were forced to rely on French equipment, including rifles, helmets, uniforms, and gear. These challenges did not weaken the unit. Instead, it strengthened their resolve to prove themselves on the battlefield. On the front lines, the Harlem Hellfighters demonstrated extraordinary bravery. Their courage quickly earned them the respect of French commanders and fellow soldiers. They had many combat successes, and many names would go down in history. In recognition of their valor, 171 soldiers of the 369th Infantry Regiment were awarded the Croix de Guerre, one of France's highest military honors. Yet, the recognition they received overseas would not follow them home.
When the war ended and the soldiers returned to the United States, many expected their service and sacrifice would finally earn them the respect and equality. Instead, the Harlem Hellfighters returned to a nation still deeply divided by racism. While many white soldiers received medals and recognition, the men of the 369th were largely ignored.
On the night of May 14th and 15th, 1918, Sergeant Henry Johnson and Private Needham Roberts were guarding a forward post when a German raiding party of more than a dozen soldiers attacked. Though wounded and outnumbered, Johnson fought back fiercely, using grenades, rifle fire, and eventually a knife to defend Roberts and prevent the enemy from capturing their position. Sadly, the United States failed to honor his heroism during his lifetime. Struggling with the lasting effects of war and poverty, Henry Johnson died in 1929 without recognition from his own country. His story reflected the larger struggle faced by many African American veterans. Nearly a century later, the United States finally began to correct this historical injustice. In 2015, President Barack Obama posthumously awarded Sergeant Henry Johnson and the 369th Infantry Regiment with the Medal of Honor, recognizing the courage displayed almost 100 years earlier. Memorials and exhibits have since been created to honor the sacrifices of the Harlem Hellfighters. But long before official recognition came, the Harlem Hellfighters had already made history. On February 17, 1919, more than 1,200 soldiers of the 369th Infantry Regiment marched up Fifth Avenue in New York City in a victory parade. Thousands of people lined the streets to celebrate their bravery, yet their impact extended far beyond that parade. At a time when many Americans believed African Americans were inferior and unfit for combat, the Harlem Hellfighters proved those beliefs wrong. They never lost a foot of ground, never had a soldier captured, and spent more time in combat than any other American regiment. Their bravery challenged racist stereotypes that had long been used to justify discrimination and segregation. For many African Americans, their service became powerful proof that the nation's ideals of freedom and democracy should apply to everyone. In this way, the Harlem Hellfighters did more than fight a war overseas. Their service challenged injustice at home, fueled calls for reform, and exposed the gap between America's ideals and its reality. By proving their courage in war, they helped ignite a broader struggle for equality, one that would continue to reshape American society for generations.